We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem. At the end of the 15-day period, we'll make a decision as to which way we want to go, where we want to go, the timing, and essentially we're referring to the timing of the opening, essentially the opening of our country.
On today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we're joined by Mayor Craig Thurmond, and we discuss the facts that 99.2% of all of the deaths that have come in Italy, according to the CDC, have involved people with compromised immune systems and people who are elderly. On today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we also discuss how 167 people die per day from the common flu each and every year, even before this coronavirus panic. In fact, nearly 60,000 people per year die from the common flu. And we discuss why April showers may return America's economic power. AKA, we might be open up for business again.
Encouragement. Yes.
We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem. At the end of the 15-day period, we'll make a decision as to which way we want to go, where we want to go, the timing, and essentially we're referring to the timing of the opening, essentially the opening of our country, because we have it pretty well shut down.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we are joined here with the man, the myth, and the man who makes it incredible $0 per year to be your mayor. Mayor Craig Thurmond, how are you, sir?
I'm great.
Hey, now, just so you know who's listening on today's show, okay? We have Tim Tebow's literary agent, who also has worked with Mr. Justin Bieber and Jensen Franklin, and that sort of crowd.
Mm-hmm.
We have a attorney in Manhattan, New York, who is being quarantined. The whole city's on lockdown.
Right.
We have a coffee business owner in Sacramento who is being currently shut down. The state of California is shut down.
Right.
And we have 500,000 listeners all over this great country, many of which who are in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And the question everyone wants to know the answer to today from you is, why did you decide to close Broken Arrow's bars and restaurants? Why? What facts, what information, what feedback, what were all the variables that went into you making the decision, which I know you did not take lightly.
Right.
But what were all the facts and figures and things that you looked at that allowed you to decide? And I'm sure, it wasn't an easy decision, but what were the facts and things that you saw that allowed you to conclude that it was a good idea, in your opinion, to shut down Broken Arrow's bars and restaurants?
Well, for one thing, we have an advantage, which I had 2 meetings last week with the director of Tulsa Health Department. We had a conference call with the White House last Wednesday. So we get a lot of information that the public maybe is not getting, and what information we're getting, there's not necessarily a spin on it one way or the other. So the facts that I used were the facts that, for one, on Thursday we had our first case in the city of Broken Arrow. Someone was tested positive in Broken Arrow. We've had some that have been transported by ambulance that we don't know what their test is at this point.
Okay.
So we had those were concerns, and we had a lot of people that were concerned about going out, which, as I've told many people, just don't go out, if that's your concern. But businesses really, I had business people texting me and emailing me and saying, you need to do something. They really felt that we needed to make this statement. So I'm hoping it's a short-term statement, that it's just a couple of weeks and then we can open business back up.
And let me ask you, how many emails would you say conservatively you've received from people asking to shut down the city? Because, again, this is one thing that I would like to say that I do not envy about your job.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think it'd be fun to be mayor for like a day. But then on the second day, almost like when you're babysitting a kid, you would say, you're babysitting your grandkids, you say, Now go back to your parents. We had a good time. We had some ice cream. We had a good time. But, I mean, how many emails did you get that would be from the irate zone? Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is irate. How many emails did you get were from the, team irate that were pretty aggressive, saying that you have to shut the city down?
I received a couple hundred myself,
Okay.
and actually I didn't receive any emails that said we didn't need to shut it down. The city received phone calls. The first day I know they got 200 plus phone calls. The next day they got hundreds of phone calls. Some people just kind of cussed them out and hung up the phone. They said they had very few people in their phone calls that they were getting that were saying we needed to not shut it down.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce some conflict, some creative
Okay.
conflict on today's
Okay.
show. And I am going to tell you, this is a verbal email to you. Dear Mayor, I want businesses to be open. And I'm going to argue on today's show why I think they should be open. And then you can explain to me why we should. Because that's why the listeners
Okay.
are going to learn here. The listeners are going to learn. If we both had the same view,
Right.
then there would be no point of this.
Right.
If I was on the show and said, oh, yeah, you're the man. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do this. One is I'm not going to question your integrity. 2, I'm not going to get into personal attacks. Because that's what people do typically in
Right.
politics.
That's,
You right
that's
away, you
quite
go.
often, yes.
Yeah, so we're just going to do this weird thing where we talk about facts, and there's not a crowd that I'm playing to where we're
Right.
scoring points, and I can't turn to the crowd and go, woo, right, guys, and then I can't every time you say something, boo you and turn off your mic. I can't do it.
Right.
So we're going to just have this. Okay, so we start with the facts. The CDC, and I put a link to it so you could see it here on the monitor. The CDC has come out and said that last year, 167 people died per day of the flu.
Right.
167.
That's a fact. Yeah.
So I have a little scoreboard I've made today, and I'm going to show it to you. This is my scoreboard. Let me see if I can find my scoreboard. It's Devin helped me make the scoreboard. I want to make it nice, so let me see. It's thrivetimeshow.com/coronavirus. Okay, here we go. So right now, the common flu has killed 10,210 people as of the time that I prepared for today's show.
Right.
10,210 people. The common flu has killed 10,210 people in the past 62 days. And the coronavirus has killed 458 so far.
Right.
Why are we, you, the media, why is the world, maybe not even you, why is the world more concerned about the 458 deaths from the coronavirus than the 10,210 from the common flu?
Well, for one, I think we should be more concerned about the common flu, and we should talk about that a lot more. So I don't know why it was not talked about, but as the president told us last week in our conference call, the vice president told us that the problem with this there's 2 problems with this virus. One is you can be asymptomatical, you can not have any symptoms, and you can be infected and you can pass it on to people not even feeling sick.
Got it.
And the second thing is that it's 3 times more contagious than what the flu is. The flu that we have this year.
3 times more.
3 times more contagious.
Okay. So 1
I know
point
we've
for
heard
you.
10, we've heard all kinds of different things, but according to the White House, we're saying it's 3 times more contagious.
So we'll say this. We're doing this debate. We each get points. Okay. But there's no cheers from the crowd. We keep it. So you are saying the facts from the White House.
Right.
Which I don't get a chance to talk to, but the
Right.
White House is telling
Right.
you it's 3 times more contagious. The coronavirus is 3 times more contagious.
Yes.
And a point for me is right now I'm showing that the flu has wiped out 10,210 people,
Right.
whereas the coronavirus has knocked out 458 great Americans.
Well, and a couple of years ago, it was 61,000 people were lost to the flu in 2018,
Yes.
I believe. So
61,000.
61,000, and the fact that we aren't doing anything about that is and not talking about, as you've talked about before, the auto deaths, a lot of different deaths that happen that we're not doing anything about. If we could just be as serious about some of these other deaths as we are about the coronavirus,
Yep.
not to the extremes maybe that we're taking, but be as serious, and the media be as serious about it and letting people know, I think that we could reduce some of those deaths.
Now, CNN, which I'm going to quote often because I am a conservative, and so I'm trying to make even the arguments that I'm bringing as conservative as possible. So Kendall's going to pull up the article real quick. Now, the headline reads, and Kendall, you can zoom in on this real quick. The headline reads, 12-year-old girl with coronavirus is on a ventilator and fighting for her life. That is a story that came out March 22nd. Now, as you look at this, I'm going to hit play. I'm going to play the video that was on CNN. The headline says 12-year-old girl with coronavirus is on a ventilator and fighting for her life. Let me hit play.
As any parent knows, children get colds and viruses a lot. But mercifully, children are not getting terribly sick from this new coronavirus.
Children simply don't get very sick when they get this infection. So if they develop any symptoms at all, they're mild. So severe illnesses and deaths, fortunately, are incredibly rare.
Numbers out of China show out of 1,023 deaths through February 11th, there was only one death in people under age 20 and no deaths among children under 10.
Do you agree? I guess does the information you're getting from the White House, is that consistent with
Yes.
this information?
Yeah, I think the youngest person that's died in the United States is 39 years old.
And these are people with, and again, so we're going to say right now, young kids. Again, I mean, I'm giving you stats here, folks. I'm giving you the actual, and Kendall, you can pull up this, you can look at this on the screen here so we can show it to people. But right now, the stats from, again, CNN, I'm quoting a liberal news organization. They're saying that out of 45,000 confirmed cases in China, we had one death that the Chinese Center for Disease Control can attribute. Is that correct, sir? Because you talk to the White House, and I do not do that.
Yeah, I think that's true. And
Okay.
the first place that I first reached out to get information was HuffPost, because I knew that they were going to be very liberal.
Yeah.
And so I looked to see what they were saying about the coronavirus, and they said the coronavirus is common. It's something that we have. 4 coronaviruses go around every year, causes a common cold. So there is no. There's a belief that there really isn't. Some people think you build immunity. There's no facts really that you build immunity, because they say you can get the cold over and over again.
So let's talk about this for a second again. So we're just recapping the facts. You are saying this is consistent with what you've heard from the White House.
Right.
The common flu kills 167 people per day.
Right.
And it killed 60,000 people back in 2018.
Right.
We're saying that the coronavirus, that from what you're hearing from the White House, although it doesn't really kill young people at all, it is 3 times more contagious than the common flu. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we move on, and now we're talking about the coronavirus. The data that I found a Bloomberg study, and I found a CNN study. So I'm going to read them to you, both of which are liberal progressive.
Right.
Bloomberg reported that 99.2% of the deaths that occurred in Italy were from people with severely compromised immune systems, a.k.a. they already had another illness.
Right.
And then I thought, well, who are these people? So, by the way, Dr. Breck just joined us. He is a chiropractor. Dr. Breck, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you, Clay?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to get people that are smarter than me on today's show. So here we go.
I'll do what I can.
So on CNN, they actually did a profile of the people that died, the first 112. And I'm going to read off their descriptions to you, and you tell me if this sounds consistent with what you're hearing from the White House. A 77-year-old man linked to an assisted living facility in Broward County died. He had significant underlying health problems. A 67-year-old man who was hospitalized at Wellstar Kennestone Hospital in Marietta. A woman in her 60s living with an underlying condition who lived in Chicago. A person over the age of 60 died. The patient's significant other was also infected, and they could only see each other through a video call. A person in their 60s died in Marion County. A man in his 70s. Does that, sir, sound consistent with what you're hearing from the White House about who's being?
That's very consistent. We're seeing people that with systems compromised. The only thing that that we were concerned about here locally was the first death we had. We've had one, I guess, over this weekend from Pawnee County, but first death from Tulsa County was a 55-year-old man that was diagnosed. He was doing worked for a lawn company, was his full-time job, and his family is saying that he was healthy. Now, because of HEPA, we don't know for sure whether he was healthy or whether he wasn't.
Okay.
But
so I'm going to give a point to you. I'm giving a point to you.
So that was 55 years old. 2 days after he got diagnosed, he died. So that's why we were concerned.
So I'm going to give a point to you because that seems prudent. If somebody who's how old again?
55.
Okay, and I would like to give myself a point, but instead I'm going to hit the boo button here. I'm going to hit the button because I'm going to say what I want to say that very few people agree with me on. But here's the deal. I employ people. Dr. Breck, you employ people. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has reported that 75% of people steal from the workplace.
Right.
And the Inc. magazine study showed that 85% of people admit to lying on resumes.
Correct.
And Washington Post shows that 78% of men have had an affair against their current partner. So I am the person who does not bet on humanity. I do not believe my fellow man. So when I had an employee of mine come to me on Friday and say these words, and they said these words, and these were the words they said. They said, I want to know, when are we going to shut down one of our stores, one of our businesses, because I want to start getting those $1,200 a week checks I've been hearing about. And I said, what checks? And they said, well, they're on Snapchat News. You can see this now. I said, Snapchat News? They said, yeah. And they said, I have reached out to the
Always
mayor.
a credible source.
They said
Snapchat
they've reached
News.
out to the
Right.
mayors. They've reached out to the mayors, so I'm assuming maybe you and the other mayor. And again, you're getting hundreds of them saying, I have told people that we're at risk and we need to close it down. Now, there's kind of an angry mob there of people that I know, many of which who work for me, who are telling me that they are starting groups of people that are they're trying to pelt your offices and other people's offices on the days off, and they are claiming that they are worried, that they have anxiety, that they feel at risk, all this kind of stuff. And when they heard they can get paid per sick day, now again, that order doesn't start until April whatever, where people get the paid sick day stuff. So these people, and Brett, could you imagine that this would happen? But we have two young ladies who admitted on Friday that they lied to me about being sick because they thought they would get their checks. And then they said on Friday, we're not sick. Can we get our hours back? True story.
Do I believe that? Yes, I believe
This
that.
happened on Friday, and I said, you told me you were sick, so we cut your hours. Well, I thought I was getting $1,200 a week from the Snap News, Snapface News, whatever. And I'm going, so you thought you were sick from the Snapchat news feed. You thought you'd get $1,200 a week, so you were sick. And they go, but I wasn't sick. I was just, you can't hurt
just
the try.
lying.
Right, but I mean, in their mind, it was like, so again, whenever now we know, my worldview, we know your worldview. Right. And now we know hundreds of people are emailing you now. So you made the decision. When did you make the decision to shut down Broken Arrows bars and restaurants? I mean, how hard of a decision was it for you to make? It
was really hard to do, I think. And it's something that I had to sign the proclamation, but the council, I wanted the council's opinion on it, and all five of us voted for it. So at that point, it was Thursday when we had our meeting at 4 o'clock that I made the decision to sign the proclamation. And, a lot of this, and I think you're right when you talk about, you can't really believe what people have to say.
I don't believe people.
I had a friend send me something on Facebook that said that the president was going to quarantine everybody and we were going to be able to leave our houses.
Yes.
And I wrote him back and said, well, it's on Facebook. You got to believe it.
Now, it's even further, here's what's crazy talk. People have political agendas.
Right.
So let me tell you my political agenda. It is to have businesses open so that I can provide an income for my employees and for my 5 kids and my wife. That's my agenda. Now, I'm a libertarian, so I wanted, Ben Carson was my guy. I wanted to win in the office. He was the most I could find. He didn't win. I voted Trump. Wasn't my guy. I don't dislike the guy. He wasn't my guy, but I voted for him. Mm-hmm. Somebody else out there is listening is liberal. Somebody out there's more. And so the liberals in the states of California and New York are begging to be shut down. And so I have got friends of mine, one of my buddies who just moved from the great state of California after he's been there for over 2 decades. And I asked him why. He says, because when you go outside to get the mail, my neighbor called the cops on me for getting the mail. And I'm like, no way. He goes, no, seriously. So they called the cops. And he said it happened twice. So I'm like, I got to go. So, there's people out there, that want the government to shut things down. They want those government checks. And they might say to you, well, they were healthy. Oh, they were perfectly healthy. You know what I mean? So you might, and a conservative who doesn't want to ever shut businesses down might say, they might have like emphysema and like the swine flu, and they're like, they don't want to shut the government down no matter what. So they might tell you that they're not sick either for whatever reason that is. Or maybe a conservative isn't super sick and gets the virus and dies, and they don't want you to know that either, so they don't want to show. There's people that always give you different versions. So you don't have access to the data. You can't actually see because of HIPAA.
Right. HIPAA laws.
You're not allowed to see.
No, we're not allowed to see, and it's behooves really the city to keep businesses open because Oklahoma's the last state in the United States that cities run on sales tax.
Yes.
So there's no way to recover the
you
sales
couldn't get
tax
HIPAA.
loss. We can't get HIPAA information.
You couldn't do it.
But it's important that we keep business open because sales tax is so important to us.
Now, Trump-tastic, again, I'm just sharing off facts, and you are out there. You would know better than I am, so I'm just reading the facts. I try to put them all in one place so I can keep them straight here. But my understanding is President Trump has decided to issue Americans checks, and the
Right.
check's going out. Do you know a confirmed amount of how much it is? And I'm not trying to paint you into a corner. I'm not asking you to memorize all the stuff,
mean,
but
the last I heard, and I know that that's fluid, but the last I heard was that if you made $95,000 or less, you got $1,200, or $95,000 to $75,000, you got a $1,200 check, and if you made less than $75,000, no, other way around. If you made $95,000 to $75,000, you got a $1,000 check, and if you made less than $75,000 or less, you got a $1,200 check.
now we couldn't book him today. I wanted to. Devin, you know how hard I try to book great guests on this show, so that way Mayor Craig Thurmond could be joined by great guests. And luckily, Dr. Breck was available to do this, and he's a great guest. But then I reached out to President Reagan, and I tried to get him on the show. And what I've discovered, and it's just unfortunate, he's no longer with us.
Yeah,
He's not.
yeah.
But I'm going to cue up the audio clip of President Reagan speaking to the American people. Let me cue up. This is what President Reagan has to say. Let me cue it up here.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Now, I know you and I share this view, so we sit here today with a divided room. We have a room where we're not on the same page. We don't agree on everything, which is why we do this show, so people can have this discussion. Mayor Craig, I'm going to submit my proposal to you right here, and I represent 275 businesses who comprise about $3 billion of market value. Some are in Broken Arrow, but not most. And we believe that we should only quarantine those who are elderly and who have a compromised immune system if they want to. But if a listener right there, we have a listener, one of our listeners right now told me today that their grandparent insists on going out to work. They're in their 80s. And they say, if I'm going to die at work. I don't care. So I would submit to you, my thing is more libertarian. Again, that's my bias. My libertarian bias is just let it happen. Let Broken Arrow be the only city that's open right now for bars and restaurants. Let us get all the business. And then if GT Bynum, and I know you're not speaking about him, I am. So if the mayor of Tulsa were to criticize you, I will take the stand and I will attack him on Twitter. You wouldn't do that, but I would. But I mean, if he would criticize you, I would criticize him 5 times more. Me personally, I know you can't as a mayor, and you would. That's not in your character to do that. But I'm saying that's my proposal. What is your proposal? Because you're the man in charge, and I want to get your feedback on how you're handling this. Just give our listeners a little bit of look into the timeline, and then Dr. Breck has some questions for you.
Well, I think that it's very important that we don't shut down other businesses. I mean, that's one thing. We've had several people have sent me emails over the weekend saying we ought to shut down this business. We ought to shut down, Lowe's. We ought to shut down every hair salon. We ought to shut down all these businesses. And those businesses have the right to shut down if they think that it's important to them. They can shut down. I think they have that freedom to do that. Yep. Our proclamation we discussed when we passed it last Thursday that on April 7th we're going to discuss it again. I really hope that by April 7th that we can just lift it at that point.
By April what?
April 7th, our next council meeting, because we're going to see and I had someone ask me what metric are you using, and the metric that we are using as a city is when we see the virus numbers start to decline. Yep. It's time to let everybody open their business back up again.
How come when the flu, like if we started tracking real-time flu deaths right now, how come that isn't as alarming to you as the coronavirus?
It is alarming to me. I think that, again, as I said earlier, I think it's something we should focus on the fact that we do that. I mean, as I said, when I really noticed that I've noticed over the years that you go to the bathroom in the men's room and about a third of the men don't wash their hands after they go to the bathroom. But while I was in D.C. a couple weeks ago and this first took off, everywhere I went, everyone was washing their hands. So if we would use that kind of policies and try to social distance, do all the things that we're doing right now, we could really lower the flu amount. I think it's way too many people that die of the flu.
Now I have a very harsh worldview, and then you're a great guy. This is why I haven't run. This is why I don't get elected, and this is the whole thing. I'm not concerned about 167 people dying a day, like me personally, of the flu. I'll hit the button because someone's thinking it. As a percentage of our population, I'm not worried about it. Nor am I worried about car. I mean, I know people right now who want to ban. I sincerely know people right now who want to stop all car traffic.
Right.
And they want to do the bus system because the 100 people die per day right now, according to. Again, this is 100 people are dying per day of auto wrecks. I mean, this is real data here. So I know people that are wanting to ban cars. I'm not kidding. I know people like this. They killed 40,000 people last year, according to Bloomberg.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people that want to ban guns because there were 3,996 homicides. And I know people that want to ban eating poorly because there were 647,000 Americans that died from heart disease. I mean, I know people that want to ban. Now, the one I want to ban is I want to ban hospitals. That's something I want to ban because they had 250,000 people that died last year from accidents at hospitals. There's people that want to ban all these things. What's the balance there, sir? What's the balance in legislating not dying of anything ever?
I don't think you can do that. I don't think that we need to do that. I mean, a lot of people through their own don't want to say it, but I guess
jackassery.
Yeah, by their own stupidity, they're the ones. I mean, a lot of accidents, a lot of things happen to us because we act stupid, and you can't legislate that. And you shouldn't try to. So this is a little unique in the fact that it's taking off and it's so contagious and people are being irresponsible. I think that I don't see it lasting a long time. I mean, I've heard from people saying it's going to last 18 months. I don't think that's. I mean, our whole economy would be destroyed if it lasts for several months.
What's more? I guess I'm saying is, let's just say it does continue. Let's say it kills 60,000 people. Mm-hmm. Why can't we just let it happen? Like, why do we have to slow down the economy? Why can't we just let it happen? Why can't we just say, you know what, folks? Eventually, people are going to die. We can't figure it out. Because what's going to die first, the economy or the people? I mean, I don't know. I think the people would die faster. Seriously, people would actually die literally faster if the economy dies.
Right.
I mean, what's the balance there?
And I think, and at some point you're going to talk about, I'm sure, the quote that the president said today.
Yeah, let me put that out here.
And the reality is that we need to reassess this at the end of this period. And we've got all the signs posted at City Hall and with the president's idea of 15 days. I think we've got to reassess this and we've got to look at this. And
8 days left.
Yeah.
8 days left of those 15 days. And Trump tweeted today, we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. At the end of the 15-day period, we will make a decision as to which way we go. Now, I have one more fun fact from a liberal news organization. Because I want to quote only liberal news organizations because everybody knows I want to quote like Fox or Sean Hannity said. Part of me wants to just say, Glenn Beck reports. I want. Part of me wants to quote people at Atwoods. The people at Atwoods. So I'm just trying to give you liberal news. But 40% of Americans, according to CNBC, and this was with a healthy economy. Mm-hmm. This dateline. Let me read this dateline to you, Breck. You're going to love this one. Mm-hmm. The ABC News in 2017. Early 18, at the peak of the economy, reported that their survey was that the average American had less than $400 saved. Mm-hmm. And this is regardless of income. So people who are making a lot of money spend a lot of money, the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I've been told that people are within $300 of make or break every month.
I know of a cosmetic surgeon who's not in the Tulsa area. He's on the East Coast, who told me he can make payroll for 4 days without being open. He's been in business for years. He said 4 days.
4 days.
4 days. An auto parts manufacturer I just met in Colorado that I spoke to them, they said they can go 2 weeks. 2 weeks total. Mm-hmm. And they're shut down for longer than that in some of these places.
Wow.
I know, I know real entrepreneurs who are telling me they can go 2 weeks, a month. I have yet to hear 3 months yet. And I've yet to hear 2 months, and I've yet to hear a month. So, Dr. Breck, you have the floor. You understand how diseases spread.
Well, there's a number of things that I'd like to mention. I mean, heart disease
it's you two back and forth now. Here we go. I step away.
So heart disease is a huge problem. 10%, 10% of the people with heart disease are going to die from it. Mm-hmm. Then you add diabetes along with that, which oftentimes do combine. My my concern, my question, when we talk about Merle Dry, the first person who did die with coronavirus, and I mean this with as much respect as possible, looking at this picture, I believe that there are potentially undiagnosed cardiovascular issues that he may have had. And his family may not have known that at all.
Right.
And there are some indications, even just based on the photograph that I'm looking at. And so, I do think that's a factor. Mm-hmm. And again, going back to HIPAA, you aren't allowed to know that information.
Right. We're not
and,
allowed. We don't know.
And so I know that the media was very quick to point out that there were no other health conditions. And I believe that's why I say I believe, and it is my opinion, that there may have been some undiagnosed cardiovascular issues. And we can talk about it.
Okay.
But the other aspect is the number of mentions in the media from COVID-19 versus other, disease conditions. So, SARS, HIV, MERS, which has a 34% fatality rate. And I'll poll anybody in the room if they can tell me what MERS stands for. MERS.
It's Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome.
There we go. We've got a winner.
He gets a
mega point.
And, that's why he's the mayor.
And
he's the mayor. There it is.
And it is MERS and SARS are both considered more deadly than what the COVID-19.
Right.
And they are a coronavirus also.
Mm-hmm. It's a type. Yeah, exactly. Ebola, pneumonia, malaria. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Jackassery kills a lot of people every day.
1.1 billion.
More than you know.
Yeah. There's the graphic. 1.1 billion mentions of coronavirus versus all those others combined are only in the millions.
Now, I'm going to say this because this is a true story that happened. This is a true story. According to Nielsen right now, the average person consumes media 11.3 hours per day. And this is on Nielsen. This is 2019. I pull it up here. So it says 11.3 hours per day. And this is media. Let me see. Per day, media. I'm looking up the link here. I know some of you only hear the audio version, but hang in there with me. So the article is called Time Flies. U.S. adults now spend nearly half a day on their smartphones. Now, the New York Post back in the day, 5.2 hours per day watching TV. What year is it right now, Breck?
It's 2020.
So it's 2020. Okay, welcome to 2020. So right now, in 2016, the New York Times reported that this is in 2016, just 4 years ago, the average person was spending just 5.2 hours per day consuming. So I think this is what I know, because I saw this with my own employees. They're coming to me telling me that they got a text from a lady at work who heard the guy who died of the corona was 32. I heard this. 32, totally healthy guy, and it killed him.
And he probably drank Corona too, right?
That's what it said. They said it killed him. It killed him, and he died, and we got to take this seriously. And they are shame texting each other on group text messages saying, if you're in business, you're irresponsible. And these people, and I finally got a hold of the source of this. Oh, she's gonna know who she is. I called her up. I said, "Hey, where'd you get the information?" I try to go Socratic, Socrates, ask questions. And she says, "Well, it's everybody's talking about it. That's the logic, everybody." Mm-hmm. And I said, "So where'd you get it?" "Well, everybody. I mean, it's just everybody's telling me about it. Everybody." So I said, "I will stay on the phone with you. But my understanding is that you have come after me on social media and told me I'm unethical for being open for business. So I need you to find it. Find it, because I've got time." We had this conversation. So she's like looking, trying to click. It's kind of frustrating. Whenever you're doing like a public presentation, you can't get your clicker to work. It gets awkward. But when you're trying to find a fact that doesn't exist, it's tough. There's a lot of that panicking going on. They're frantically looking for it. And I try to be nice about it. And it's like, well, it's everybody, Clay. Everybody knows what's really going on. Everybody. And she says, Look, I've heard that the mayors are receiving thousands of emails, and everybody knows it. It's just irresponsible. So I said, do you know in China there's one confirmed death of a kid over there right now? One. And that Italy shows that they have 99.2% of all of the deaths from the coronavirus are from people with a compromised immunity. And do you know that 167 people die per day of the flu? And she did not know these things. And afterwards she goes, I apologize. I'll take it down. But this was like after going after me. Mm-hmm. I mean, really aggressively. And I'm getting hit. I think I'm getting hit if you're getting hundreds of messages, I bet you I'm in the same boat as you for being open. I bet you I'm getting that many messages from from citizens who say I'm unethical, and especially from the parents of my employees. So I would like to get your take on this. How do you see? Do you think this is going to wrap up here in April for Broken Arrow? What do you think?
I think so. I really think in early April. I think we've got a couple more weeks. We're going to see a decline. I mean, I know this week we're going to see it increase because of the fact of they weren't testing. I mean, they've got a lot of pent-up demand tests that are sitting at labs that once they all test those, we're going to see an increase this week.
Now, in states like California, I think it's going to be closed a lot longer because their natural liberal bias. I think it's going to be a state issue like it should be. You're going to see the blue states that, by the way, have legislated themselves out of an economy almost. I mean, California's almost legislated themselves out of capitalism. And New York, I have so many clients in New York and California that tell me it's almost impossible to fire somebody to hire, even before all this.
Right.
I think they're going to be the dead states. I don't do that. You're going to see California and New York and Chicago, the states with the worst economies. They're all going to get really bad.
Well, in New York, you look at half of the cases are in New York, so they're going to get bad, and they are any kind of government money. They're doing a hospital for them there now. Yeah. The federal government is, or they're providing a Navy hospital ship. So I mean, we're going to see a lot of that, I think. But again, as I tell a lot of people, Oklahoma is completely different. Even Arkansas has twice the cases that we have, and does not have a population anywhere near even what the population of Tulsa has in any of the urban areas. So I think that we're going to see it, but Oklahoma, it's just we're going to see it go away a lot faster. They're talking about people being outside.
Are you okay if I'm just saying if you decided to open up the city and our sister city right to the west of us there, Tulsa, doesn't open? And maybe Bixby doesn't open. Are you cool with being the only guy that's open? Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but I think that the other communities will follow our lead. I mean, I don't think so. Some of the communities have actually got our proclamation.
I don't think, because here's what I think. This is what's crazy about this is what I love about you, but this is something I worry about you. This is what I worry about. Is Shaw Homes, one of my clients, they tell me, GT, that it is 3 to 10 times easier to pull a permit to build a house, to build a neighborhood in Tulsa, to get approval to build a neighborhood in Broken Arrow than it is Tulsa. It's 3 to 10 times easier to build in Broken Arrow than Tulsa. And even though the city of Tulsa knows this, GT, even though they know this, they continue to make it harder to build by putting in regulations that are insane, and some of them relate to the piping. Like, am I making that up? Piping? It's some kind of piping regulation.
Yeah, they and I work in land development. Is what I do. Is how I pay my bills.
Yes.
Since this job is a free job.
Yeah.
And Tulsa is more difficult.
But I don't think Tulsa's going to win. I mean, seriously, it's been more difficult to build in Tulsa forever.
Right. It has been,
and it keeps getting worse.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I could see Tulsa continuing to stay closed because there's more people in Tulsa who are liberal-minded, who want to rush to the government for help, and they want to be told they're going to get a government check. They want to have hardship so they can get closed down. You see this.
Right.
So I could really see the Broken Arrow Island is open and Tulsa Island is not. And if that were to happen, I could see Bixby opening with you, but I don't think that Tulsa would follow you.
Yeah, Well, Tulsa's not going to follow anyone's lead. They're going to do their own thing.
And then And do you ever get criticism from other mayors? I'm not asking for specific names, but do you ever get criticism from other mayors for not acting fast enough in areas like this?
No.
So other mayors don't criticize other mayors.
We were criticized by the city of Tulsa, of course. But
you were.
I think.
Well, if the city of Tulsa doesn't like you, I love you. I don't like Tulsa. I can't stand that place. And I live there and do business there.
So I do think that. We're going to do what's right for us, and it doesn't matter what other communities do.
Oh.
Thank you. All of us, all the communities in our state, though, run off sales tax. So I don't understand why other communities wouldn't, if there's not a risk of a virus. Which I think that we're going to see this change pretty rapidly, and we're going to see us do away with it. And Manhattan
could still be closed, but we don't care.
We don't, because we're not New York. We're not Chicago. We're not
Yep.
San Francisco, and we do
So-
things a lot different.
So let's talk about some other things about New York. Have you ever stayed in Manhattan? There?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I always stay at the Empire Hotel, which is over there by Juilliard. I'll probably, next time I stay there, will probably be 2 years from now after they end their quarantine. I'll probably be there 2 years from now. And Oklahomans out there, work hard because your federal tax dollars are going to go to support those people who can be quarantined for 2 years.
Right.
So I stay there, we stayed at the beautiful hotel. It's the Empire Hotel. Have you been to Manhattan there, Dr.
I haven't,
Breck?
no.
Okay. It's a very nice hotel. Let me cue up a picture of it real quick here. And I love this hotel, and it's right there by the Trump Tower and Empire Hotel, New York, and it's a beautiful place. But there's a lot of people there.
There's a lot of people there.
And I stayed in a
8 million
nice
people.
room.
Yeah.
Dude, I got a really nice room. I got a room.
Small, but nice.
Oh,
Right?
it's a very nice hotel room. And I got to the room and I thought to myself, what I'm going to do is my wife, we deserve to be in a nice room. So I put up some big bucks. And I think I spent, here it is. Look at this. We're looking around here. I'm outside of the Empire Hotel. I can't seem to find it. Oh, here I am. This is it. I'm going up. That's the Empire Hotel. I'm in the Empire Hotel. This is me. Juilliard's right over here. There's Juilliard, the dance school. I'm there. And I paid $500 a night for this room.
Yeah, I'm looking at these pictures. This is a beautiful place.
Beautiful. Now look at the rooftop, Kendall. Look at the rooftop. This place is so cool. I feel like I'm in the movie Batman or something. Look at the hotel. They got a bar. They got a pool at the top of the hotel. A pool on top. They've got a sushi bar. It's cool. Look at this place. You just feel cooler when you're there. I stay there, and I open my room, and it is small, bro. Bro, I mean, it is like, I'm not kidding, like panic attack small.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having concerns. So I slept with the door to my hotel open. I was like,
Really?
Vanessa, I can't shut it. I mean, I was like petrified. It was like claustrophobic, and that's $500 a night. Now, then I'm in line, and I didn't know I was claustrophobic. Maybe I'm not, maybe I am. But we go get my wife one of those fresh pressed juices. Expensive stuff. It's like $8 for a little bit of kale. And I'm dropping the $8 for the green stuff because I love my wife. It might have been $9. I rebuked the price. Devin, I don't even think about the price. When I'm around my wife, I'm like, who cares about the price? You know how it is,
She's
Devin.
worth it.
She's worth it, yeah. So I'm doing that, but I'm thinking, she's worth it, but I don't know if we can afford this. It's $509, and we've just got one night of sleep in a small little closet, and we've had ourselves some kale. Literally, the bed took up the entire room. I'm not kidding. You open up the room, and the bed's the whole room. And this person behind me, I'm not kidding, this person behind me is like, and it's kind of like that sound, like, fna, 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 fna. And you're like, they're trying to work it out.
Right.
And I can feel it. I can feel
That hot breath on your back.
I got a feeling that disgusting. There's like so many people. You know what I'm talking about? There's so many people in this kale place. And I got people up front of the kale place smoking. They're getting kale because it's healthy.
Right. Of course.
And they're smoking out.
Smoking cigarettes, yeah.
And it's cold. It was cold. We go for Christmas.
At $10 a pack, probably for the cigarettes.
Sure. And the best time to go to New York, by the way, is in Christmas. It's beautiful. So he's
That's what I hear.
Smoking. It's cold out there. Cold. He's smoking. Got the kale juice going. I'm watching the whole thing. It's a miracle that the common flu doesn't wipe out the whole city every year.
Right.
Now, I'd like to know how many people died from the flu. Devin, please look this up. From the common flu in Manhattan last year, because it is
Probably a lot.
packed, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't live there. Do you get claustrophobic when you're there? Do you like it there? I can't do it.
It's a good place to visit. We have a meeting that we go to there every year.
You're a better man
try
than
to
me.
bring site selectors,
I don't get
but yeah, it's tough.
It's
you know,
tough,
and
tough.
Even trying to get dinner there. I mean, everything there is tough.
God.
And you're better off walking, because if you get in a cab or an Uber, it's going to take you a lot longer than if you walk.
And at least there's Uber now, but the cabs used to smell like death warmed over. It was like, we put a little death in here. Like, those little potpourri things you hang up in the shape of a Christmas tree?
Right.
It's like they hung up one in the shape of a dead body and let it just sit there. It was
A little
nasty.
skull and crossbones.
So,
Yeah,
that
it
being
is
said,
nasty.
Dr. Breck, we're going to do rapid fire questions now.
All right.
Where you can ask the mayor any questions you want. But really, picture as though you're asking all the mayors. Because all the mayors are having the same conundrums.
Right.
And he'll obviously answer from his context. But, I mean, we have listeners in Manhattan. We have listeners in San Francisco. A lot of listeners in San Francisco. A lot of very conservative business owners in San Diego that feel trapped by their government. They're going, we've been told it might take till August before they're going to open this thing
Right.
up. Now, I don't know about you, but we spend $1 trillion in a week to mail people checks for $1,200. That they only get like one check every 6 weeks, and I think there's only approval for 2 checks.
2 checks.
And there's a problem with the check. There's a problem with the checks going out right now. There's like a problem, a snafu. So what questions would you have, again, on behalf of the listeners out there that are maybe the questions they would have for their mayors or for our mayor?
Well, so one of my first questions would be, where does your information come from when you're making decisions on behalf of your city?
I think most of our information either we get it from the county health department.
Got it.
Or we get it from, we've had a weekly conference call with the White House. So we talked to the vice president, and he's running the COVID-19 team. So we get it from him and from, everybody from small business to Department of Labor, everybody's on those conference calls. We get that information from them. That's really where most of our information to make our decisions are from our county health department or from the White House directly.
Are those calls? Sometimes business conference calls can be kind of weird.
Right.
Is there an urgency to those calls, or are you like, Mayor, are you there? Carl, are you eating? Is Carl here? Where's Carl? Is it because I've seen dysfunctional business conference calls where there's 18 people not on the call, but they're all pretending to be on the call. Is there an urgency? Is there a focus? What technology are you using?
There is a focus on there, and we just listen on a conference call in the city, but there is a focus, and this was the longest one I've ever been on. We were on for an hour and 15 minutes. Usually the ones with the White House are 30-minute phone call, but they had a lot of different people speaking.
Is Vice President Pence, is he leading the calls?
Yes. Yeah,
okay. And have you ever had President Trump lead these calls, or have you ever seen him in person address you guys?
We did have him lead the call. Last year we had a phone call, and he talking about infrastructure, and he did lead that call. I did see him in January when I was there for Conference of Mayors. Yeah. And he was saying that we've got this coronavirus under control. It's nothing to worry about. It was like the 28th of January, and we thought, at that point, no one really thought it was going to be as bad as it was.
Here's what I think.
China wasn't telling us the truth.
Well, and I will say this. I know China wasn't telling you the truth, but I want to ask you, and people might not agree with me, I think you do have it under control. We've only lost 500 people to it, and the common flu took out 60,000 people just a few years ago. I think we don't have under control is the virality of social media.
No, we don't have that. Social media, and when you look at how many people a year, like 600 and some thousand people die a year of heart disease, and that's our number one killer. But we don't talk about that.
So the virality of social media, we do not have under control. The hysteria.
Right.
I know Walgreens has recently put out, the Walgreens on Elm.
Mm-hmm.
I go in there to buy my end times staples. True story. I went there to buy staples. And this person looks at me and they're like, do you want these staples? Nothing's being said. There's just a tension. Like, they see me going for it. Like, do you want these staples? I want these staples. There's only these final 2 staples. So I got 2 packages of staples. And I got the stink eye for getting 2 packages. Like, I should have just got 1.
Mm-hmm.
So then I leave and I go next to Brahms over there off of Elm. I go to Brahms. And Brahms, I go there to get my meat. I love the meat. They're out of meat. So I'm like, I got the staples, didn't get the meat. I go to QT. I go to Quick Trip. By the way, all the people at this particular Brahms were very nice. All the customers were well behaved. It was good. Go to Quick Trip. Some guy's doing the end times boat deal where he's got a boat, a truck, and the gas tanks for the boats and trucks and maybe something else, and he's filling it all up with gas. He's probably been there for 30 minutes. I don't know what he's doing. He's got the end times. He's maybe watched the movie Mad Max like an hour ago. He just watched Red Dawn, and he's taking all the gas, And so I'm seeing there's a panic that people feel like, people feel the tension.
He may have been a little bit of an opportunist. We also have the lowest gas prices in a long time.
I feel like this. You know how when you have a girl that, and again, Breck, you've been married for how long now?
Coming up on 19.
Mayor Craig, how long have you been married?
6 years.
I've been married for 20, so we're right there. We're on the same conversation. Mm-hmm. But this is what happens is I remember I was dating this girl in high school, and things were going good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, we're talking about after high school, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that. And I come home from a trip. No, she came home from a trip, a youth trip.
Mm.
And I could sense this tension. I could smell the fear. Now, she always was very well hygiene, always smelled nice. Nice lady. And she listens to the show all the time, so she's going to be like, just stop. No, but this is true. So then what happens is there's a tension. We get in the car to go on our date, and I'm going, I can sense a fear. There's a fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wants to say something. The last time we talked, it was like, hey, after high school, we're going to college together. And then I look at her and said, what's going on? You have something to tell me? No. Do you have something to tell me? I think culturally right now we're saying, do you have something to tell me? Are you sick? Are you compromised? Are you not? Are you okay? Are you going to take all the meat? Are you going to take all the gas? Are you do? So I say to her, no, you tell me. We went over to the Delano movie theater, and I pull in. I'm like, here's the deal. You're looking cute as usual. You smell nice, but something's weird. And she goes, I made out with a guy on the youth trip. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, And And then she says, I think God wants me to break up with you. And I go, okay. I'm not sure if God influenced the make-out decision. But you see, as a culture, we want to justify what we just did. By sometimes we say, God told me, or maybe I feel called, or there's all different reasons. But for whatever reason, some people feel called right now out of fear, self-preservation, to buy all the meat it burns, to buy all of the gas, to get all the paper towels. So how do you get ahead of the narrative? Because I talked to a lady today, there, Mayor, a Broken Arrow lady, who thinks that 4 out of 10 people that get the coronavirus die, and they're mostly young and middle-aged people. 4 out of 10. And I'm like, where are you getting? How do you die down the fear?
Well, I think that, talking about the facts, for one, we know that it's not that. In fact, I just was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying, well, 3.7% of the people die. And I go, well, that's China's number. Our number, the worst number we have is like a 0.7. But I talked in a couple weeks ago, was in D.C., and we had an advisory council meeting, and there was a counselor from Rancho Cordova, California, who is actually conservative from California, which is surprising, but he's a virologist. He's got a PhD in virology, and he goes, and he started talking about the virus. He said the number the virologists have is 0.04. 0.04 is what they say is the fatality rate of this.
0.04?
0.04 is what the virologist community
If you
thinks.
get it?
If you get it.
0.04?
0.04.
0.04?
Which is less than, the flu is considered a 0.1. Some people say the flu is a 0.1. So 0.04. So 0.04% of a chance that you'll die. He also said that he talked about MERS and SARS and saying that they are a lot worse coronaviruses, and he talked about the coronavirus.
So you're saying that even if everyone in America got it,
right,
the coronavirus right now, make sure my math checks out there, sir. This is 0.014. We're saying
or 0.04.
0.04. 0.04 right here. So this is 4, because if it was 4, this would be 40%.
Right.
This would be 4%. So this would be a 4/10 of a percent, correct?
Right, 0.4%.
So even if every American got it, the maximum number of people that could really die from this is 1.3 million people. But we know from the study in Italy that 99.2% of people who have died are elderly people with compromised immune systems.
Right.
So you're saying, it's the craziest, biggest fear ever. Now, in America last year, and again, somebody's going to boo me, and I know somebody's already booed me 6 or 7 times this show. 2.8 million people died last year, according to the CDC. And a lot of people who get this virus are on the death's door anyway.
Right.
So, right? So you're telling me the virologists are saying this doesn't look as scary as maybe the media might portray it?
Right. And that's what the virologists are saying. Now, then I was at this conference that had an epidemiologist that was obviously playing to the audience, and he was saying that a higher percentage of people died. But again, that was his. No one really knew at that time, but the virology doing the study on it, saying that this coronavirus is really not that bad. And again, as we talk about heart disease and we talk about cancer being the number 2 killer in our United States.
I think jackassery is Devin, do we have any stats on crazy accidents that kill Americans per year?
Got to be a lot of those. Yeah.
I know. I have a family member one year who did this, and then Breck, I want to give you time to ask a question. I have a family member one year who heard that the way to keep a snowmobile from the engine getting clogged during the summer is you got to turn it on. You can't let it sit all or something. Is that part true? Is that part true about? Okay, so you got you got to turn it on.
Maybe some dry rot.
Yeah.
Keep it from.
So this was the idea that he had. This family member. He would take the snowmobile and put it on, not like wood blocks, but put it on these cinder blocks. So the base of it's on cinder blocks. And he took a bungee cord and tied it to the throttle and turned it on, so it's full throttle. These things can drive 110 miles an hour. And he leaves it there, and at some point it shakes, rattles, and rolls,
Vibrates
and then it
itself
just
off
goes onto the road at 100 miles or whatever it got to, goes into a pine tree like a Clark Griswold moment, sets the thing on fire, and if you heard him tell the story, he's like, they never told me that you can't put it on cinder blocks. And I'm just so frustrated with the manufacturers. They told me I had to have it open. And I did. This is the same family member who drove behind a moving truck from Mayflower in a DeLorean.
Mm-hmm.
And he claims the coffee table fell out on his DeLorean and almost killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So then we ask, how close were you to the back of it? And he says, I was just riding its tail. I was driving so slow. This is the same family member who drives a motorcycle shirtless at all times and doesn't seem to understand why there's a risk factor there. This is the same family member that gets tickets like they're competing with Steve Currington for the most tickets. I mean,
Right.
this is the same family member. So, I mean, do we find
So
any
you're
stats?
saying there's a pattern?
Do you find any accidental deaths? Come on. Find me some hard stats. Okay, Breck, we got time for one more hot question.
Well, so yeah, one of my questions, Mr. Mayor, is about, like, if I were to pull a fire alarm in a crowded place, what would happen to me?
If there's no fire, you can get in trouble for that. You know, you don't have that freedom of speech when it comes to pulling a fire alarm. And I've heard that many times. People say, well, if we pull a fire alarm in a crowded building, we don't have that freedom to make a false statement like that. So yes, you can get in trouble for that, and you shouldn't be doing that.
So do you agree that it would be responsible for the American people, the government, to at some point hold the media responsible for this panic that they've created?
Or to the social media. Maybe if somebody
Or
posts
social-
things that aren't true, like this person who was I have a person bashing me saying that a 30-something-year-old guy died. He's perfectly healthy right there in Broken Arrow. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, do you think that at some point there maybe could be, do you go after people that make up stuff on social media?
I mean, I wish there was some way, because social media, there's so much stuff made up,
That's fake news.
and I get attacked so much on social media over things that aren't even a fact. And there's, so it would be nice if there was some way to do that.
Which is why I
But do you
love
see an instance where the Congress would, take the media heads, the actual national news media heads,
and every time they posted a fake news thing.
well, yeah, I mean, kind of hold them responsible for some of what's been propagated, leading up to the hysteria.
If our Congress, I'm just not real optimistic. When 48% of the people in our country are Republicans, 48% are Democrats, and
Yeah.
the independents are the difference
Mm-hmm.
in the two. And when we have someone, they're trying to pass a bill right now. We have Congress not trying to do that because they're saying that, well, we're giving corporate buyouts to industry. Well, large industry is it's a loan. They're gonna have to pay that money back.
Yeah.
But for people not even, they're going to argue over anything.
Mm-hmm.
The first bill that was put out, the Republicans put out a bill that was $850 billion, which is a lot of money. And then, Senator Schumer put out a bill that was $750 billion.
Well, here you go.
Yeah,
GE, meanwhile, stuck in the middle. They just laid off 2,500 employees today,
Right.
announcing they were going to reduce their employee
aviation workforce.
by 10%.
Yeah.
So, folks, this is a serious thing, and I want the listeners to do me a favor, if you can do me a favor. And again, I know you're entrepreneurs. So as an entrepreneur, I know what you do. This is what you do. You don't want to get involved in politics. You want to put your head down, and you just want to run your business. And I know this. But you know why? Because I'm one of you. And I know. You know how many times I've called the mayor because something bad's happening? Never. Do you know how many times I've ever called the HOA? I could have my neighbor in the HOA killing their dogs with bow and arrows each morning, and I could have them streaking up and down the street, and I would not report them because I just don't care. And most business owners I know are very libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
But if you would encourage the mayor to open up the bars and restaurants, if you're a business owner, seriously, if you're a business owner right now, and I don't care if you're in Manhattan, you're in California, no matter where you are, I care about you, but it doesn't matter to me where you're at geographically. What's an email address they could send you a message at that says, "Hey, Mayor, I encourage you to open up these bars and restaurants." Where's a place where you could, because you don't get both sides very much.
Right.
There's more people that don't own businesses than do own them.
We do have a website called mayorthurmond.com.
Mayorthurmond.com.
And that would be a good place to send an email to, and let me know what your opinion is, because so far I have not gotten any. I've not gotten even one email.
Not even one. Do you hear that, Breck? Not even one.
Saying
I'm amazed
that they support.
I'm not.
That they support businesses, and
I'm not.
Most of the emails, the majority that I get, are saying you're not doing enough.
And I'll tell you
need to
this:
do more.
in America today, only 6% of people are self-employed, because we know, according to the SBA, between 22 and 28 million people are self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
So that means there's only 6 entrepreneurs for every 94 that aren't. So, how many employees out there work for an employee. What? How many employees out there don't work for an employer?
Right.
So
6%.
there's a lot more. I'm just saying there's a lot more people out
Because
there.
you're either self-employed or you're working for somebody else.
So if we just did the math, there should be 96 people saying shut the city down for every 4 that we received that were in favor of opening, because that's just the math. But Mayor, I appreciate you answering the difficult questions, and I love the fact that we can have a discussion that doesn't end in threats and personal attacks and weird. That's what they always do. The political debates are like, well, in all due respect, my good friend Governor Breck from the great state of Utah, before we talk about this issue, how's your brother doing? I heard he's an idiot on social media. All right, and they just like they do that. Or hey, my good friend Clark, the senator here from Texas. Before we get into the issue, I just want to say, how's that divorce going? Anyway, and it's like it's just weaselly. Devin. With all due respect, do you have a question for Mayor Craig Thurmond? With all due respect, before you ask a passive-aggressive question, as you often do on the Primetime Show.
I've had my head buried in these stats.
We always edit it out so people haven't heard them yet. Anyways, you have a voice. We just want you to have it heard if it's negative.
I don't know what you're talking about. I definitely don't.
Do you have any question for him? You brought your riot gear. Do you have any questions for him?
Is it okay to have this riot gear with me?
I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start the chant.
Open up the bars. Open up the bars. Open up the bars.
It's not a lot of people chanting, but I've got a megaphone, so it must be true. Because whoever says things the loudest is usually the winner. Right. The squeaky wheel gets the oil in our world. So get out a megaphone, folks.
Well, and I'd just like to say I appreciate the difficult position that you're in, because it does feel to me like there's a lose-lose, no win situation for you.
It's no win, and closing down business. No one in our community wants to close down any business, because the fact that it hurts us. There's no way we ever recover that money. No way the business will ever recover that money.
And check this out, Mayor Craig Thurmond. I'll tell you why he does it. I'll tell you why he does it. He does it for the money, folks. He gets $0 per year.
Because he's getting paid so much.
Which is more than losing money.
Right.
But he does it for the money. It's zero. I mean, seriously, this is a job you do. You're a civil servant. Thank you so much. If you check out this show on Facebook, share it with a friend. Mayor Craig Thurmond would like to end each and every show with a boom. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1, boom.